My name is LaTonya. I'm going to be talking to you today about my story, which is being molested by my dad through the ages of 9 through 13, resulted in a pregnancy, child sexual abuse, one of the hardest things to overcome. But trust me, you can overcome and you can become that woman that God has empowered you to become because He has confidence in you. And if He brought you to it, He will bring you through it. So I need for you to push past your pain and live on purpose.
I ain't that shit.
It's about self-empowerment. It's about self-awareness. It's about self-respect.
Welcome back to another episode of I Ain't That Chick. I am here with Miss LaTonya, and we have another fantastic episode for you. Thank you so much for tuning in each week. I so appreciate you. And today we're talking about a sensitive subject. And LaTonya, at I Ain't That Chick, I do believe that every woman has a story, and women empower women when they share their story. So I just want you to take me in to your story and share your story with us. You did say that your dad molested you. Mm-hmm. So can you take me back to your earliest memory and how old you were?
The earliest memory I have, I was 9 years old. And one thing that I always remember is being outside playing with my friends and being called inside the house. And when I would come inside the house, he would begin to touch my breast. And I think that's how it started. He would touch my breast. I really don't recall how we got to the point of him rubbing his penis on my private parts and stuff like that until he would ejaculate or whatever. One time he went too far, and I was molested from the age of 9 through 13, and he went too far and he penetrated me, and actually I became pregnant with this with a baby. And it just went on and on and on. Like, my mother would leave the house and I would literally practically grab her ankles because I knew what was going to happen when she left the house. And it was just a traumatic time in my life.
Did your mom have any idea, do you think?
I don't think that she knew what he was doing to me, but he used to beat her. So she would leave the house trying to get away from him, but not really recognizing what's going on with me, her daughter, because it's only me and my brother. My brother is 4 years younger than me. Okay. So she's not recognizing the signs that, oh, I just want to go with her. No, I'm grabbing your ankles because something is going on.
Something is wrong. It's a sign.
Yeah, so I tell women now, you got to watch. You're running, but take your children when you run as well, because you left your daughter in a situation that could have been avoided.
Wow. So at 9 years old and your dad is touching you, did you think that was normal, that all dads touch their daughters like that?
I didn't think it was normal. He did tell me, you can't tell your mother. And I knew that it wasn't normal. I was very smart. I'm very intelligent. Right. And I knew that it wasn't normal. But it was, when it's something that's so shocking, like, why would he do that to me? Why are you touching me like that? You don't even know how, you're like numb as a child. Right. If you're getting raped as an adult, it's different. But as a child, I think that it just sucks the life out of you, so to speak.
You lose your innocence.
Yes. So my innocence was lost. So now you go through the things that, now my innocence is lost, and my body has to catch up because I'm being touched prematurely. My body is responding to that. My boobs is growing. Had big boobs and big chest at age 12 years old, but my mother thought that it's because I'm running outside with the boys and I'm letting the boys touch on me. And if you had read the book, I say this not the boys that you need to be worried about.
That's right.
It's the one that's in your husband is who you need to be worried about. And I say that to her because I was angry at her. You think that I'm this person that's just outside being a fast little girl, and I'm not.
At 9 years old?
Yes, I'm being
fast. Is this your dad or your stepdad?
This is my dad.
This is your dad, your biological father. Wow. So now how does that affect your interaction with your dad after that?
Well, one thing that God has given me, and I feel that any of us that have gone through something, God gives you something to carry you through. And God gave me love. And I've always been a loving individual. So it happened. As a child, I thought that I forgave him, and I still loved my father. Regardless, I felt that I forgave him. I love him. Never was a time where I did not want to be around him or whatever, until up until the end of his life. When he passed, he just became this person, and I had to tell him, did you forget what happened? Like, just because I forgave you, that doesn't give you a pass to disrespect, because he began to get disrespectful.
Oh, really?
to
Like, what, to say anything or call you names?
Yeah,
or?
like, he would come at me like I was a chick out the street, because he died like almost 4 years ago, and he would approach me like I was not his daughter, like, you always with this man, and this man, or I wasn't a good mother to my children, because I never kept my children away from him. I still allowed my kids to be a part of their life, and I wasn't a good mother. He just thought that he could chastise me or whatever, and I'm like, mm-mm.
No. Now, you said your dad, you got pregnant. You became pregnant by your dad. What happened to that pregnancy?
My mother took me to have an abortion at Choices after. Soon as she found out that I was pregnant, she took me to have an abortion.
And how old were you then when you got pregnant?
It was my first year in high school, and I was sitting at the table with my friends. And me and my friends, Bridget, Maggie, Tanya, we would all sit together at lunch. And after the day before that, or maybe 2 days before that, he had called me inside, and he had laid me on the foot of my mother's bed, and he was rubbing his penis up against me, and he went inside of me, and that was it.
And so that you became pregnant because of that.
Right.
And so your dad wasn't actually having intercourse with you.
He was just rubbing his penis up and down on me, and then, but this time he did actually penetrate me, and I got pregnant, and I was sitting down at the table, at the lunch table, and I got so sick. I felt like I was going to vomit. But my mother would always keep records of my period, and she was like, you didn't get your period this month, and you're going to tell me, you know, what's been going on because you didn't get your period. So I went to school that day. This was in the morning, and that afternoon we would go to the babysitter's house, and the babysitter's like, well, your mother said you didn't get your period, and you're going to tell me who the father is. So I told her. I was like, well, my father been touching me, and so now everybody's all in shock. Like,
did she believe you?
It wasn't a time where they didn't believe me. They thought that it was like, I called myself having this little boy named Pierre, but we just kissed in the hallway. I wasn't even about that, you know, you rub pants to your pelvic, so, but we wasn't really doing anything. And when my mother came home, she's like, and you're going to tell me right now, I know you're pregnant, and I was like, Daddy is the father. And she fell to her knees and she cried. And in the book, I tell you that I remember that moment as if it was yesterday. I don't remember her hugging me and saying it was going to be all right. I just remember her falling to the floor calling on Jesus. And I remember when he came home that night, and she said, well, Tanya's pregnant. And he was like, oh, for real? And she was like, yeah. And she was like, Tanya, tell him who the father is. And I said, him. And he said that I was lying. And my mother was like, she's not lying. She's telling the truth. And then it went on from there. She put him out for a few days, but she went back and got him. So
now, did your dad still touch you after that?
No.
So that was the end of it?
That was the end of it.
Wow. Did your dad ever apologize to you? Did he ever acknowledge what he did?
He did. I remember one time it was Thanksgiving. We were at my grandmother's house, and he was on the phone, and he was like, you know, I just want to tell you that I'm sorry, or whatever. And as a child, you're like, okay, someone tell you sorry, they're sorry. But I think that he was sorry, but I think that he was a sick man too. Okay. And you have taken that situation, and first of all, you wrote a book. Tell us a little bit about your book. The book is just about overcoming. It doesn't give much credit to what happened, because I don't ever give the devil any credit for what has happened in my life. So it's about overcoming. Yes, my dad raped me. Yes, I was a victim of domestic violence, child sexual abuse, high school dropout, all of these things. But in that, I show that God is God. And if God, and if God put that on me, God had confidence in me that I can carry that. That, oh, she's the one that can do it. Because if it was you, you probably would have killed yourself or whatever, but God gave it to me. So it's like when Jesus went to the cross for us, so I'm doing this for him. Because I'm not the only one that has been a victim of child sexual abuse by their father. And it hurts a little bit more when it's by who it is. If it's by a stranger, it's one thing, but by your father. And I'm like, if God gave it to me, then I can carry it. And so I just go around, and it pushed me to where I am today, empowering women that your childhood hurt, you have to let it go. In order for you to, it doesn't matter if you got a PhD, or you can have the whole alphabet. behind your name.
The whole alphabet.
If you're broken, you're broken.
You're broken.
And things that are broken are not operating to their fullest capacity.
Right.
And I want women to know that it's things that God has for you because of your endurance. But you can't get to it because you won't let it go.
You holding on,
Yes.
And that's what I love about I Ain't That Chick is that yes, things happen, but I like to get the story outside of the story. So yes, this happened with your dad, but how do you turn it around for good? You're using it to speak to young women and to create something positive out of it. So you empower women. You do some public speaking also.
I do public speaking. I run East Roses as a mentoring organization where we mentor women, survivors, because I don't call them victors, survivors of domestic violence, child sexual abuse, because okay, everybody raises awareness about it, but what happens after the awareness? We know it exists, so the awareness
What do
is
we
there.
do? That's a
What
good
do we
point,
do?
though. That's a good point.
So I take their hand and I pair them up with mentors that, okay, this is what you need to do. Now that you have survived, you're going to have, sometimes you may need therapy. Sometimes you may need to go back to school because the residue. I dropped out of high school, so it's the residue. Like, I'm this nasty individual. I'm walking around. I don't have to obey nothing in this Bible because I was a victim of child sexual abuse and I can do whatever I want to do. I don't have to be nice to you. I don't have to love you. I don't have to forgive you. And that's how I was living. So it wasn't until I began to apply the Bible to my life. I have to honor my mother and father, no matter what my father did to me. I have to
And that's a
honor
big pill to swallow.
them.
That's a big pill to swallow.
And no matter how big the pill, it wasn't until I follow that commandment. It doesn't say honor thy father and thy mother if they're this. It says honor your father and your mother. And I honored them.
It's unconditional, yeah.
No matter how hard it was.
Wow.
I never disrespected them. I never disrespected my mother and my father. I never came at him. Even when I was angry with him, when he would try me as if I was that chick, I would be like, all right,
I ain't that chick.
you know, okay. But I went back to that. And I was like, everybody needs to be forgiven. You need to be forgiven for something. And someone to say to you, oh, you making a big deal out of it. How do I know how I hurt you? If I hurt you. It's no levels to forgiveness. Forgiveness is forgiveness. And it wasn't until I forgave, and that was my ultimate test to forgive them. When I forgive them, I begin to prosper in the Lord. And God showed me my purpose. He was like, this is your purpose. My purpose is broken women. I prayed to pray like David. I wanted the way David was a magnet for the broken. God, make me a magnet for broken women. And it's so, it keeps me up at night.
Now, do you meet a lot of broken women?
What? Broken women and broken men. Because through my ministry now, God is sending the men that have been victims of child sexual abuse to me.
How is that? Because men don't often talk about that.
It's different, but I'm so humbled by it that you see something in me that you'll share. And men is macho, so for them to come forward and be like, oh, I was a victim of child sexual abuse, it's a big deal. Because they're not going to uncover to anybody. Right. And the same way, you treat them the same way you treat anybody. The thing that's happening with us as a society is we have a victim mentality. You have overcomer in you, so you have to live life as an overcomer.
Yes.
I don't need I can't go around in a victim mentality because that's going to hold me back. My past will suffocate me.
That's right.
If I didn't let it go, exactly.
People get stuck and they don't move beyond, and you have moved beyond. So I want you to look into the camera, and I want you to speak to somebody that has gone through maybe what you've gone through, or some type of abuse, and they're stuck. They're stuck there, and they feel like maybe, I ain't gotta, respect my parents. I don't have to obey my parents. I don't have to, live my life according to what's in the Bible. What would you say to them?
I would say to you that you do. You have to follow the rules in the Bible. It is our blueprint for life. God is not man that he should lie. So everything that he has put forth, these things is not nothing new. Incest was in the Bible. Domestic violence was in the Bible. If you know your Bible, then you will know that there really is nothing new under the sun. Tamar was raped by her brother in the Bible. The first episode of domestic violence is between David and Saul. You have to know your word and then you use it accordingly. But the 10 Commandments is what God given us. And he has said, honor thy father and mother. He has told us that we have to forgive. So it's those things. When you lay everything, we don't get to give God what we want to give him. Lay all of your broken pieces at his feet and trust that he will heal you, and he will do that. He has beauty for your ashes waiting for you. If you look behind me, you can see it'll look like the Twin Towers falling behind me. It'll look like so much chaos behind me, but that's behind me because I press for the mark that's in front of me.
You better speak.
That is what it is. It's about looking in front. The Bible says speak. It says look forward, not beyond, because it's distractions over here, back there. That child sexual abuse is a distraction to keep me from my purpose of what God has for me. So you better rebuke that devil, lay those pieces down, and keep it.
And that's
trucking.
not who you are today. But one more thing, because you're not finished yet. I want you to look at and speak to the 9-year-old LaTonya's there. Now, they may not see this episode because they may be grown women today. Maybe some of them are still carrying some of the burden and the baggage, and maybe they may be stuck in unforgiveness, bitterness. I want you to speak to them, but then also to the mothers of those girls that are in that household and they're not seeing the signs.
I'm going to tell the mothers. First, we're going to start with the mothers.
Yes. God.
So many times the mother doesn't pay attention because there's so much brokenness in the mother. Know the signs. If your child is acting different, if your child wants to go with you, first of all, you don't leave your daughters, and now our sons, you don't leave your babies with anybody. If you just met him, if you're sleeping with him, a thorough investigation is in order. You ask your children constantly. Is someone touching you below your navel? Is someone rubbing on your breast? You ask them. You pull their pants down. You check their genitals, because this is real stuff, and you make them know that it is okay to tell. Be an approachable parent for one thing, and don't run a dictatorship, because it's too many broken women that were broken children that's walking around. And to the 9-year-old LaTonya's that's there, that's still holding on to that pain, and you're a mother, you're a grandmother, or whatever, God is still God. It's not too late for you to turn it around. Do you know that broken mamas make bitter babies? So you may have some bitter babies that you need to go back, but you need to be open as well. Tell what happened to you. Tell your story. It's power in the pen. Write it down. Write a letter to your abuser. Whatever you have to do to get it out of you. Fall to your knees. If you can raise your hand, if you find the strength to raise your hand, God will meet you right there and say, Lord, I can't carry this, because you really can't. It'll break you down. It'll suffocate you if you try to carry those broken pieces. I take everything to God, because it's not easy, even at this point in my life, as I empower others that have been through child sexual abuse. It is not an easy thing. I constantly have to go before the Lord, because the devil will always continue to remind me what happened, why it happened. When I hear other people's stories, so much comes into me. But God is good. And God will bring you through. He will pull you out of your situation. The Bible makes several references about dry land. Do you know why it says dry land? Because you cannot contaminate your life walking through, leaving footprints. Because when your feet is wet with residue from child sexual abuse, from domestic violence, you're carrying this poison from one relationship to another relationship. It's going to poison every area of your life. So I need for you to dust your feet off. Yes. And I need you to walk in your purpose. And I need for you to ask God to tell you, why are you here?
Yes.
And He'll show you.
You don't stay stuck, because you ain't that chick.
Right.
You don't stay stuck.
Staying stuck is for wussies. And we're not wussies. We queens.
Yes,
Put your queen on. Get your crown. Adjust your crown and walk in authority. Square your shoulders. Stand for something. Because if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything.
Because God has a purpose and a plan and a destiny for your life, and that's what you're trying to get them to go through.
That's right.
If you want to hear, tell them where they can find out a little bit more about your book. You have a
book.
You
can find out about my book at 2liveunbroken.com. It's the number 2. liveunbroken.com. I do speaking engagements. You can contact me at evesroses@yahoo.com. That's EVEROSES@yahoo.com. You can friend me on Facebook, LaTonya Smiley. I have a publishing company where I actually allow broken women to write their stories. I help them write their stories and release their books, because I feel that if we tell each other our stories, we would know that most of our stories run parallel. And when we walk in a room and you turn your nose up to me, you're no better than me. Your residue may be different from mine, but we all were fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yes.
So we all are connected in some way. And so the reason why most of the time we turn our neck up is because the devil would have me to not like you because our ministries are meshed together.
And that's the whole woman competition thing, but we're not doing that here. And at I Ain't That Chick, I firmly believe that every woman has a story, and women empower, and that's what it's about, empowering women when we share our stories. Thank you so much. You have empowered today, and just thank you for being bold, for being honest, for being beautiful. Thank you for forgiving, because that's the freedom in the forgiveness. You're free.
I'm free.
You're free today. And
Butterfly life.
Yes, let's say goodbye to our viewers.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Want to find out more about I Ain't That Chick? Visit our website at www.iaintthatchick.com.